While prosecutors have not announced that they are going to pursue the death penalty in the quadruple murder case, a judge has granted the defense request for a death penalty qualified attorney to join his legal team. You can see where this obviously is going. Still with us in Columbia, South Carolina, former prosecutor and SLED agent Tommy Pope, and in New York, trial attorney Bruce Rosenberg. Innocent until proven guilty, but every day seems to be another a bit of information that piles on to making it look like they might have the right guy here after all of this. Tommy, what's your take on this investigation, what it's yielded, and then this latest bit where they come barreling into the house in the wee hours, and there's the guy with his gloves going through his trash into little baggies?
I've always been a prosecutor. I've never done defense work, but first thing I think the defense is looking for today is somebody to testify that that was the cleanest guy they ever knew and always took care of his trash. And but I'm not sure you're going to see that. I was thinking about the death penalty component too. You know, as this case builds, you know, for me making the death penalty decision, again using Murdaugh as an example, because it was circumstantial, it wasn't the nature of the crime. It was the fact that, you know, you don't want to push a jury too far. But if they have good, tight evidence, if the DNA comes back that matches the buccal swab and the snap on the knife and all that, I think there's a decent chance you see the death penalty come to play if they feel like, you know, they're really, really solid on the guilt phase of having their man.
Yeah, and you know, there's so much we don't know yet in terms of what came back in those search warrants, Bruce. They took apart that vehicle, the white sedan, and if there is any DNA of those victims in that thing, we're talking case closed most likely. What is your take on the new information that we heard from this prosecutor in Pennsylvania, that he was up at 2, 3 in the morning and he's handling his garbage with latex gloves?
It's quite interesting, Ted. I mean, I think the timing there is is quite interesting. I think I read somewhere there was at 1:30 or 2 in the morning as opposed to later in the morning. Typically, it's my understanding that arrests take place early in the morning, but not that early in the morning. I think that, as Tom said, hey, fastidious. This guy, maybe he's the cleanest guy in the world. Maybe he had a reason that he didn't want his personal items to be mixed up with his parents' personal items. I can't say that it looks that good, but people, you know, have their own interesting complexities, OCD, other complexes that make people act in the manner they do. This just could be part of his personality. Without more, it's hard to say. On the other hand, somebody wanting to hide or not provide DNA so that he can't be identified or connected to the evidence at the murder scene is also a possibility. So we're going to have to wait and see with bated breath what the DNA evidence turns out to be.
Yeah, and again, in that prelim, we should find out a lot in June. We learned so much from that probable cause affidavit that was released in terms of what investigators did to get to that point. And Tommy, with your experience as a SLED agent, I mean, reading that must have been something for you, because they really did have, out of the gate, they had the sheath with little DNA on it, but it didn't hit initially, that match, and so then it was this video canvassing, the DNA combined, and then the cell towers. What did you think overall? I mean, a lot of people were bagging this investigation as it was dragging on. Even some family members were raising their eyebrows. Now, at this point, what did you think as a former investigator about the way they handled this?
You know, again, we get numb from watching TV all the time, but I thought it was very impressive that they were able to track him down across the country. We had a case one time, the guy killed his parents, headed up the East Coast, and we were able to recover the murder weapons and everything from a dumpster halfway up the interstate because of quick action by law enforcement. So sometimes on the outside, we think they're dragging their feet, or, you know, we're second guessing. And as you alluded to earlier, I think Bruce said, there's reasons we can't always know everything publicly, so law enforcement can piece it together. So it sounds to me like they got their man and they're working hard, and I'm sure they'll continue to do so.
Yeah, innocent until proven guilty. The judge also clarified the gag order in this case, ordering, yes, the attorneys from either side, as well as attorneys for any witness, cannot give any information to the media regarding Kohlberger's pending trial. But in regards to witnesses, she said this: she is not ordering clients, i.e. witnesses, not to talk to the media, but stressed this case should be tried, not tried in the media, but in the court of law. It is a ruling that the family of victim Kaylee Gonzalez appears to appreciate. They released this statement commenting on the gag order not applying to them, thanking the media for keeping the story alive. They said in part, "We firmly believe it was the coverage by the media of the victims' families, numerous witnesses, and undeniable evidence that led to an arrest in this case." When you have a case of this magnitude, Bruce, everybody is on high alert involved in it, including the judge, including especially the prosecutors, because you don't want to fumble this thing and you don't want something odd to happen, especially given what we know. How does the fact that the entire world is fascinated beyond belief by these horrible crimes and how this could happen, how does that change the way people do their daily business in terms of progressing now to preliminary hearing and then trial?
Well, I think that the information outside can affect the jury. I think that media coverage, discussions, the internet, all provide instant information to people all around the world. And I think the interest in the case is because of the graphic nature and the horror of it. And I think the judge is correct in being concerned about what is said, to whom it's said, and when it's said, because you don't want to affect the jurors who are considering the evidence in the case. And the judge is absolutely correct in saying the case really needs to be tried in a court of law and not in a court of public opinion, because, as Tom said, we don't know everything yet. We haven't seen all the evidence. We don't know what's going to come out yet. And the defendant is entitled to be presumed innocent until found guilty. So we have to wait and see. And so I respect the judge's ruling to want to keep communication and commentary to a minimum.
Yeah, and again, we haven't heard from the state if they're going to pursue the death penalty yet. They have lots of time to make that decision public, but the news this morning is that the defense has retained and added to their team a death-qualified attorney. It likely, if you have a death penalty in a state, this one, if families are on board, I would think is a go.